So now we are recording. So yeah, as I just said, my name is Andrash. I'm with the community team of BetaHaus, and this is my honor to host today's Beta-Salon session in connection with our mood swings with Stefano Carpani from the School of Dreams Berlin. Welcome, Stefano. Thanks again for accepting our invitation. And before we jump straight into the topic, I would like to briefly summarize today's program. So after a short warm-up, we will have a directed talk for 15 minutes. And after that, the audience can have the opportunity to ask the questions by using the chat. So I will be looking at the chat all the time. So if anything comes to your mind, please feel free to put it on the chat and I will read it out loud in the last 10 minutes. So, well, let's start, I would say. I would like to have the first question that you usually use in your YouTube channel. How do you feel, Stefano?
First, let me answer how I am. I am good. I'm safe at home with my family. And how do I feel? Well, these times are really strange, interesting. And there is a band called The Cure. They published an album, a record many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. It was titled Wild Mood. And I think this title is pretty correct for those days, for me, my family outside, but also for me is really important this time to ask myself, what the hell is going on outside in the world? Is the first time that a virus is reshaping the whole world, because it is reshaping it. It will reshape it. We cannot avoid it. We cannot deny it. So it's a time for many moods. It's a time for many emotions. And we have to welcome this emotion. We cannot fake that we're not anxious. We cannot fake that we are not panicking. We cannot fake that we are very irritable, that maybe we are even sad and depressive. Yeah. So how do I feel? I feel we are in front of an opportunity.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, I also try to regard this crisis as an opportunity, because wise men usually say like every crisis is an opportunity somehow. You mentioned many emotions. This is very true. Like this, I would say probably this is the first global crisis of our generation. So my next question would be, is this a new type of or new level of anxiety that we are facing right now? So we have never had this experience before. So what are those natural reactions from our mind? And may I use the expression soul?
Well, let's contextualize first what you mean or I mean, or what could we mean with crisis. It is the biggest crisis in the West, in Europe, in the past decades. But a few years ago, newspaper was saying war is back in Europe. So between Russia and Ukraine, there are crises around the world everywhere. Yeah, and a couple of months ago, we were looking at these Chinese crises as Chinese crisis only, as it was the SARS almost 10 years ago. So many people thought, oh, those Chinese again. Well, it's not something for us. But the news is that actually these coronavirus, the COVID-19, spread throughout the world, and so fast, because the world is so connected. 100 years ago, more or less, 102 years ago, the Spanish flu, which was not Spanish, was American, actually North American, arrived to Europe, and it spread. But at the same time, there was the First World War, so almost every country, apart from Spain and Switzerland, was at war. So they were counting war, people dead at war. So that's why we call it the Spanish War. So crisis. Yes, it's a big crisis because it forces us to a different way to live our life. Somehow we are not free to go out and to live our life as we did in the past years, as we do possibly since after the end of the Second World War, for the former Eastern Bloc, the fall of the Berlin Wall. So it's really reshaping our daily life. And we have a sense of that the time is suspended. Yeah, we are locked home, although it's beautiful outside, it's spring, at least in the North Hemisphere. But for me, this crisis is really about the suspension of certainties. Our small, big certainties of everyday life. Wake up and know that I have to go to work. Oh, I don't want to go to work. Oh, I want to go to work because today is going to be so interesting. Or tonight I will have a date. Or just maybe spending the weekend at the lake or with friends or with your beloved. The certainties of everyday life are suspended today. Yeah, and for a good reason. Because if I am sick, and I, Stefano Carpani, am not sick, thanks God for now, but if I am sick, I have the responsibility to take care of it and stay home and self-isolate. Because there are people that might get affected by this and die. There are thousands of people dying every day. As the German sociologist Ulrich Beck, who died on January 1st, 2015, wrote in a book that was published posthumous, we are all vulnerable. We are all responsible. And he also said, he was really a visionary, these kind of crises, pandemic, are global, but even more, he said, cosmopolitan. That's why we are all vulnerable, all responsible. I think it is a time helping us to rethink what limits are. It's a time of integrity, or a call for integrity, a call for responsibility. And out of this, perhaps a new way to live our life can emerge when we will be allowed to go out again.
Excellent. Well, yeah, you mentioned couple of potential endings, I would say, or lessons that we should learn from this situation. Actually, so all you mentioned, this depression, like anxiety, and all these things, like we were not allowed to go out, so we actually self-isolated. So of course, due to these factors, we can have these rapid swings in our mood that you previously mentioned. And of course, it's very hard to take a step forward when we first have to deal with our emotions and try to feel good and strong enough to take that step. So my next question would be, how can we handle these mood swings with the, with all the opportunities that are available right now, because we have limited opportunities. So what are those handrails we can reach out to when we would like to start a process like this, which can be a learning process as well?
We have limited opportunities if we keep using the mindset of 2-3 weeks ago, of the physical opportunity to go out, to be extroverted, to meet friends, to drink a beer, for parents to go out and bring their kids to the kindergarten, to school, and have time to be with themselves or go to work. Well, now, for example, parents have to homeschool. My wife and I homeschool our daughters every day. And actually, it's quite fun if you get into that mindset. If you think it's fucking boring or it's a bother, well, you're screwed. Yeah. The same is for those who are younger than me, in their late 20s, and they are home working. If you stay in your pajamas, PJs all day long, don't shower, well, you will become lazier and lazier. But if we look inward, we have even greater opportunities. I suggest to all my patients, this is really the time when, from the external world, from extroversion, we can go inside. And inside, we have a tool, creativity, imagination, fantasy, that can help us. As kids, when we were bored, somebody would give you a piece of paper and some pencils, some colors, and we would start painting, drawing our inner world. We could do it again. We can even think, fantasize, and spend hours on that. What am I going to do next? I have my list. My list is that as soon as this is over, I will go to Italy, Milan, where I'm from, where my parents live, where my brother and his partner live. They just had a baby, and I will go and meet my nephew, who I couldn't meet because of this bloody crisis. Or I will go to visit a special person I haven't met in many years. Or maybe I will go up to a mountain alone and enjoy that time. But if we are able to move from outside, from the external world to inside, and don't panic, don't become anxious, well, we can benefit. We can learn to be alone for ourselves. Perhaps this crisis is really about prolonging the time we are able to stay with ourselves without freaking out. Yeah. So perhaps look at how long can I be without WhatsApping? How long can I be without chatting to my friends? How long can I be without Zooming? How long can I be without Netflix? Yeah. I always suggest, if you are in not full lockdown, wake up and take a 2-hour walk without music, without your phone, without friends. Just walk around for 2 hours. And then you see, you will come home and you will feel recharged, lighter, and you can start your day. Or even, but this is something radical, at night, at 6 p.m., if you live alone, because if you live with someone else is difficult, but if you live alone, 6 p.m., switch off all technology, switch off your phone, switch off your TV, don't read books, don't listen to music, be with yourself until tomorrow morning. Even tomorrow morning at 12, and see what comes out. Look at your dreams. Maybe you want to write, do it. Maybe you want to paint, do it. Maybe you just want to fantasize with your open eyes, do it. Creativity is the most important tool we have and could be such a massive healer.
Wow. Well, I hope a lot of people will hear this message from you. I will definitely try these things out. And you mentioned imagination, and before this session, I did a quick research and I watched a couple of your shows on YouTube, Breakfast at Kusnacht, and Professor Veronica said that imagination actually could have a beneficial impact on our mental health, especially those stories with good endings. So my question would be, what sort of ending can you imagine of this whole situation? Maybe it's too early to talk about the ending, but of course we can imagine, as you just said, we should go for fantasizing.
Listen, the world has gone through difficult times for thousands of years. I don't buy that yesterday was better than today. No. There is progress, and life happens, as Sarah Kane used to write. Sarah Kane was a British dramaturg and writer. Life happens because life is not fully in our control, as the Buddhists would say. That's why, for me, this crisis is really about limits. When I was a kid, and I'm coming from a working class family, my parents worked very much, we could go and have an ice cream maybe once a week, a pizza, forget about restaurants, a pizza maybe once a month. And there was a limit, an implicit limit, because money was not something we had. Yeah. But through their work, they gave my brother and I the opportunity to study, to go to university, and to get better jobs, and to get more money. And now my kids ask me for an ice cream every day. So these are the limits we should look at now. Perhaps they sound a little bit moralistic, but the nature is telling us, hey guys, it's not okay. Greta Thunberg last January at Davos, in front of the journalists, in front of the most important men, especially men of the world, said, I want you to panic. Climate change is real. And nobody took her for real. Yeah. Only certain part of the newspaper, of course, because it's good for the readership. But she is right. Nobody listened to her. And then synchronistically, as Carl Gustav Jung would say, this virus spread. This virus, which is invisible, Stop us. Stop our wish for more. Our wish for more technology. Yeah. To fly almost every day or very often from one city to the other. To buy more. There was a sociologist who recently died, Zygmunt Bauman. He is the one who invented, let's say, or claimed that our society is called a liquid society. Yeah, and a liquid society is a society where I live my life, and as soon as I have a problem, I step to a city that is identical, an imaginary city that is identical to the city where I live in, but without problems. Well, I think that this is not the right way to do it, because if you move to one city from another, as Calvino underlines, as Bauman underlines, you want to avoid the headaches. And many people wanted to avoid the headaches of the climate change. Who cares about the climate change? I want my super duper car. I want to fly every weekend to a different city because I want to enjoy it, and Tinder in every city I go. Well, I think this crisis is telling us that our bulimic society, a need to eat and vomit, what I call the all-you-can society. You go to a restaurant, all you can eat, you pay $9.99, it's shit food, but you eat as much as you can until you have to run to the toilet, either to vomit or to do something else. And after a bit, you start eating again. Why? Because you're bulimic. Because you need this, but you don't process what is going on. Actually, this crisis is telling us, what? Watch out.
Well, yeah, many experts refer to this crisis as a waking call. So hopefully we will get this call. And thanks for all your thoughts, Stefano. I mean, yeah, they were very fascinating. And actually, we have 2 questions already. And as we are reaching to the last 10 minutes of the session, I'm going to go with these questions. So the first would be, how do you alter your mindset after many weeks of being trapped inside and losing motivation to do useful tasks? Would you like me to read it out again?
First,
okay.
No, it's fine for me. I would ask this person, what are the useful tasks? We have to be very pragmatic. If you have a job, if you haven't lost your job already, because it could be, well, try to, from Monday to Friday, try to keep up with as much as you can with your usual daily activities, which means wake up, get a shower, get dressed, go to work. Yeah, and work, and be honest, and do your job as honest as you can. It's not, I'm doing home office, I can watch a little bit of TV, I can relax music. No, be honest. Then maybe you can have longer breaks. For lunchtime, maybe have a 2-hour breaks and do something else. If you can go out, go out. If you can't go out, go in. And linking to what you said of Verena Kast, try to have what she called, or what Jung called, active imagination. Close your eyes and breathe. And let your fantasy touch you. And go with it. A narrative, a story will create, and see where you go. Watch out. It could leave you, it could bring you to a nice place or to a less nice place. Yeah. You have to be able to hold this. If not, contact someone like me, colleagues, because in this time, and this is my message for you, Andras, and everyone listening, as this is a time for wild mood swing, and to acknowledge that we have these swings of moods, of emotions. Let's not put them away. Yeah, this crisis is as much social, financial as psychological. If we connect with our emotion, we will become stronger, because we will know ourselves better, much better. These human beings, the woman and man that know their light and their shadow, are strong. Because if we don't know our dark corners, we will stumble on them and fall down and make mistakes and become emotional in a conversation with the friends, with our partners, with our parents, with colleagues. So my suggestion would be try to go in. Stop fantasizing of the outside world as it was. Fantasize of what you would really like to do, your priorities when this is over, yeah, and connect with yourself.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm hopeful that this answer will fulfill the questioner. For me, it's something I really share. It's also, yeah, I'm totally understand why it's important to know ourselves better, and we can work on that definitely, because it depends on us only. So it's our choice to make. Excellent.
If I can add something, this time shouldn't be the business as usual. It's not business as usual. Yes, we have to be pragmatic, but it's not business as usual. It's business as unusual. And in these, we live in a suspension of certainties. Yeah.
That's right. Thanks for the addition. We have another question for you. I have a friend who is working in a system relevant job, and she says boredom or shutting down, like you suggest, is a privilege that not everyone has these days. What would you suggest to someone on the front lines of this crisis to help them through these difficult times?
This is a very important question. I am Italian, as I said before, and on March 8th, when my nephew was born and I couldn't go and meet him, I had a need. Something urgent came to me and said, what can I do for my country? My country was the first one in Europe to be hit by the coronavirus. I felt helpless. I felt anxious. I felt angry for many reasons. And then I said, let me post on Facebook that I am available for free of charge psychological support for those in the front line, those medical doctors, nurses, or paramedics, everyone that works in this system to help. I was very happy when few Italian colleagues picked this up and contacted me, and we created a group of psychoanalysts that are willing to support these categories for free. And now we are a group of over 130 Italian psychologists, psychotherapists, psychoanalysts. And this is important. Is generativity, is I have an idea, I bring it to the world, a group of people pick it up, we develop it, and then we let it go. Yeah. Now, those in the front line, doctors, nurses, paramedics, police people, even those that bury the dead, yeah, I think they are up on the trench with adrenaline. They cannot slow down. I don't think they can say, hey, wait a minute, I would like to go and talk to my psychoanalyst. No, they have to keep working, and they're doing an amazing job. And we are blessed to have these people working for us. So we should stay home and safe. But those people, including a cousin of my wife, some friends, I've been told heroes. I think they are much more than heroes. Yeah, because if you are a medical doctor, you choose this as a vocation. And when these kind of crises come, they cannot say, no, sorry, I'm not fit. I want to take holidays. They have to be like soldiers do in other circumstances, have to be there. So we have to be very thankful for those in the front line.
Yeah. Well,
do we have time for another question?
That's right, we have. But yeah, I just wanted to say, good for you, Stefano, for launching something that generous, that this group of free counsel. That's yeah. These are those not small act of kindness, because it's actually a big one that we need these days. So that's very nice of you and your colleagues. And the last question, probably, you mentioned many experts and researchers. Is there any personality, historical or contemporary, who can be a useful mentor in these times? Whose works would you recommend now?
I remember when my first psychoanalyst, Dr. Alessandro Albizzati, answered to my question, which book could I read? and he said, "This is not time to read, it's time to feel." Yeah, time to read will come after. So it's time to feel, guys. It's time to see how we feel, which are our emotions, and write them down. In the morning, when you wake up, stay in bed a little longer, because we can stay in bed 5 minutes longer. See how you feel. Oh, I feel good. Oh, I feel anxious. Oh, fuck, no, again, my backache. Or actually, I feel quite energized today. Oh, I feel so relaxed. Whatever, and write it down. And if you remember your dreams, write your dreams down and see how they evolve. This is the first thing. During the day, also check how you feel. How you feel. Good, not good. Which are the key emotional words that come to your mind? But if you want to read something, I would suggest a very easy book by Carl Gustav Jung. It's titled Memory, Dreams, and Reflection. It somehow is autobiography. He didn't write it entirely. He wrote it at 4 hands with his secretary, Aniela Jaffe. And so it's a portrait of a man who was very ambitious, very poor, came from a very poor family, very ambitious. He became a medical doctor, a psychiatric. He was with Freud and Alfred Adler, founding father, but they're also founding mothers of psychoanalysis. But he was one of the 3 founding fathers of psychoanalysis. And he was able to become himself, not to become someone. When he was young, he wanted to become someone out of poverty, with his ego, his persona, his profession. And then he went into a big crisis after he separated from Freud, because he diverged from Freud thought, and he went his way. Guys, to go our way, which is not individualistic, is very important, because when we become ourselves, we become the person we really are, everything is clear, and we are more and better in contact with the world, with other people, with those we love, and with those we thought we hate. And when we look at hate, we know that hate and love are related. So my suggestion is, if you have time, buy a book. If you can, buy a book from your local bookshop, because we need also to help those bookshops or those places, those shops that cannot do delivery, that are not global companies. If you are not in full lockout, go out and buy a book. Buy a piece of pizza from a local supplier, yeah, from someone in your neighborhood. If you can't, of course, you can go out, I understand. If you can't buy something in your neighborhood because it's restricted, I understand. So let's help those around us. And if you want to read the book, Carl Gustav Jung, Memories, Dreams, and Reflection. And if I can give another piece of advice, maybe watch my interviews or buy my book. But this is more kind of a end of interview joke.
Well, yeah, actually, that's the thing, that our time is over. So I would like to say thank you again for your time, Stefano, and for your wonderful thoughts and messages. I'm really hopeful that everyone who listened to this session can take something home, and of course those who will watch the recording. So thank you again, and I stop the recording now.